Hello, this is Brain. Today with a little bit different video. I want to explain this project a little bit and what kind of mess I have produced here. I cannot recommend to make a project like I did, but it's such a mess that I want to show you how you not should do a project in FL Studio. But first, if you don't want to see this explanation, just jump to the jump marker to the full track at the end of the video. If you want the full track without my voice, just buy it on Spotify or whatever shop you like. It will come online a few weeks after this video has gone live. Okay, in this project I started the track to be a slow style track, but I don't like the result. So I pushed up the BPM to 150 and played around with some beat. Sometime in the progress, I really liked the beat. I made a quick melody, just hit in a few notes, and the result was really cool. So I made a full track out of it. I generally do my projects like this. I play around until I like something, and then I make a full track out of it. So in this project, I have a lot of patterns. Most of them are not used. It's just for testing. Normally you should delete them, but I don't mind because the track is finished and I don't want to reopen the project anytime later. I have that kind of choice because I'm no big producer. I just make it for fun and generally I don't need the project later on. Also, I have a lot of channels here in my channel rack. Most of them are unused and I should delete them, but I haven't done yet. So this track is a hands up track, 150 ppm. The beat is shuffled, means the beat is off the center, off the middle of the beat, shifted to the right a little bit to make this shuffle effect. The track has an intro and main part and an outro, and intro and outro is basically the same, but with modifications to do some variations in the track. Okay, let's start in. At the real beginning, we start with a kick. Simple as that. And also an intro pluck sound, kind of pluck sound. And this all fades into another point in the track where another sound comes in to fill up the whole scene. And from that on, the outro goes up and up until the break comes for the main part. In the main part, it also builds up for the melody. Then everything kicks in and the track is really powerful in the main part. And then we break it to the outro. So here we have a kick and an intro block that sounds like that. Simple kick, filtered, cutted out the low parts. Here I shifted the kick a bit to make also the shuffle effect. The intro block slowly fades in with the filter. The filter comes directly from a plugin. I mainly use Spire for every sounds I need because that's the plugin. I'm really familiar with it and it's easy to use for me, and I have a lot of presets in it, so I can just play around jumping to the next preset and then listen if the sound fits to my song. So this is the main plug played alone. It's kind of tube, resonance, filtered out the high pass, filtered out the highs to be really on the low end, and play that in the intro the whole time until other sounds come into place that overlaps this sound. It is really a weird wobbling sound to make this crazy song ambience that I want. Then we have here the kick. Simple kick, and that plays at the beginning of the song. Then comes the offbeat in the place, also filtered at the beginning. This is the shuffle beat. For this I show you it's also Spire and the effects that I use. So this is the offbeat filter. That is kind of surprising. I have named the insert 5 to the offbeat because that's the real offbeat, but that's the only insert that I have named properly. All other mixer tracks are named wrong or not even named. So don't do it like that. Name your mixer tracks so you can find them later easily. So this is the offbeat mixer track that routes to the kick and beat track that routes back to the master. I do it like that because kick, this is the insert 1, and offbeat routes both to the kick and beat mixer because I want filter and fade and put some effects on both kick and offbeat at the same time with just one knob. So here we have the offbeat. If I turn all effects off, that's the bass sound what comes out. Just a real fat bass, a little bit distorted. Then I have an EQ that just pumps up the middle. Then a wave shaper to make it more crunchy. Next, another EQ to pump up the middles, the lows and the highs, and all in between a little bit more silent. It really gets that resonance sound, kind of sound. Next, a destructor that make the really crunch and fat and distorted sound. It's the destructor from FL Studio. Then another wave shaper to make it more crunchy. So we have the maximum crunch and fatness to the sound that I want. At this time it really sounds like a hardstyle bass. If you put a kick in the beginning, it can be a hardstyle kick if you modify it a little bit more. Then a stereo shaper to make the sound wide in the ears, to the left and to the right, a little bit split. So it's not mono anymore, it's a little bit of stereo. Then the shaper box, that's basically a sidechain plugin to cut down the volume in different parts of the beat cycle. So if I turn it on, it will become the shuffle sound. As you can hear, it don't silent the whole beat, but it really reduces the volume of the sound at the beginning of the beat, and then the last quarter of the sound, the volume goes to 100%. This makes the shuffle. Show it to you. Here you can see. If I turn it down, you can hear the shuffle. So that's the whole offbeat for the complete track. I use the same offbeat in the intro, in the outro, and the main part. It's every time the same. I don't need another offbeat, another kick and beat and the main part, because it fits very well with my melody. Okay, that's the offbeat, and let's check out how this intro fades in to the part 2 of the intro. And the first part of the track, the first small sentence of the track that I really like. And also always a lot of crashes. Crashes are in Hands Up the thing to do to make it blend with some parts of the track. Maybe you have noticed this slow glide in the offbeat. That's here. Let me show it to you. Play it 1 octave higher. And then here I have, and then here in the last part I have a glide, portamento, legato, or whatever you call it. It just glides the note down to the other note. That's the setting of my VST plugin Inspire. You can define how long the glide or how fast the glide should be. You can create some really nice effects with that glide. Our intro plug slowly fades in. So offbeat comes into place with the intro plug melody. And here is the part that I really like when the new plug fades in, the new sound. It's not really a plug, I just named it plug. And this part, this beat, these two beats are that kind that I really like in this track, because it creates a so nice sound and transition to the next part of the intro. Yeah. And from now on we fade just to the main part, turn up the volume, turn up the filters for both intros, for both plugs and the offbeat, do some claps, do some hi-hats, do some crashes, and mash it all together until the main part, until the drops come for the main part. As you can hear, the offbeat alone is really crunchy. It has a really saw kind of like sound, but when it plays together with melody and kick and all other sounds, it goes a little bit in the background because of the compressor on the master. And this compressor makes this whole sound glued together and make it really warm. Nothing stays out too much, and I really like that kind of sound. So let me quickly open the master compressor here. I have a normal compressor. I have the default compressor of Fruity and also the default multipart compressor of Fruity with some push in the lows and some push in the highs to make that sound that I want for this track. So this Maximus is turned off. It's just a testing thing. New time, I don't have to use new time for this. And shaper box, I explained it later, that is for the scratch effect. Hear this weird crazy plug in the background. It really moves this track. So here another thing, the tempo breakdown. It is really to do in FL Studio. You have just to automate this tempo here. Right click, create automation clip. Then you have this curve or automation clip with what you can modify your whole project tempo just with a simple curve. Be careful when you use this. When you have effects like delay or reverb and slow it down in between, you have some kind of add effects in the sound. Always listen to that if it don't disturb your sound. Here's another part, this scratch you heard. That's the shaper box on the master. My shaper box plugin, shaper box is a set of plugins where you can do different kind of things. Shaperbox have a time plugin to create scratches, stutters, slow down time and such things. Crush, filter, pan, volume and width of the song all can be modified with Shaperbox. It's a paid plugin. You can buy this set for $100 or so, I guess. I don't know. I have this a long time before. So I use this for side chaining and some scratch and time effects. Scratch. It really makes a cool transition for me. So we fade it all together, cut it out to the main part and do a break. In the break, we slowly fade in a few new sounds. First, I have a plugin Flex for an accordion-like sound. It's just Flex integrated into FL Studio with some free presets. I have used one free preset, Accordion 2. I don't have modified it. I use it so as it comes out from the preset. Slowly fade in this accordion. This melody, the whole melody in the track, Let me explain that a little bit. The whole melody in the track consists of 4 bass notes, A, E, G. Oh, it consists only of 3 bass notes, A, E, and G. So as you can see, first part is A, then E, then G, then A, back to A, up to E. This makes this sound. All notes in between with a different variation in the note, also on the same shuffle time to create this shuffle melody that fits together with the beat. Oh yeah, it's just a really simple melody. Just quickly hit in, I liked it and I used it. I don't have a keyboard, I just play around most of the time with piano roll. And this melody is in the whole track. In the main part is the same bass melody, but with a lot of different notes in between, shifted a little bit, played around a little bit with timing and so it creates the really stunning melody in the main part. So slowly fade in the accordion. It reminds me of Zelda. Zelda uses this sound a lot. Some claps on it. And here comes the best part of the song that I really like, the transition from the accordion to the real powerful main melody. I really like that. That made me goosebumps. It is so powerful. It creates such a harmonic with the accordion in background, what you can actually don't hear, with this really crazy dry sound. I can't explain this sound really well because my words are limited. My school English is not that good. So let me show this main sound. It's also Spire. It's basically, again, the same root notes, A, E, and G, blended together with a lot of different notes. Also have used a little bit of glide technique here, as I explained before with the offbeat. When you play multiple notes together in Spire and have this plugin to be mono, it uses portamento or legato. This controls the behavior of the glide. The glide time can you define here in Spire, and if you turn up the glide time, it really slowly fades to the next note. So if you turn down the time, you have the whoop, whoop, so really fast fading note transitions. So that's the main melody. You hear this wobble in the sound. This is because I play also again multiple notes together, but with a really short time. This makes the glides to wobble because it fades down to the note and shortly after it fades up to the original note. So G to D and up. And that's not the whole truth. There is another sound in the background on the lower ends, because if you don't do this, this sound is only in the high part of the frequency. You really need low parts to make the sound warm and fat. So if you turn down, so if you turn off these low parts, it really sounds boring. Not exactly boring, but not warm. And for the warm part, I have notes played on the root notes with just a really deep saw with really fatness in it. really crunchy song. A lot of reverb to mix it all together. Also Spire. Also again with the same glide effect. And together it makes the best melody. So from this time we build up to come to the real main part of the track with the filtered kick. Fade out the main melody. A little bit of accordion alone, and then the break. Altogether really fat track. So let me explain a little bit what is going on here. First, the part to introduce the kick and the whole main part, just a shuffled kick. Then a little bit of playing around with a little bit of sounds. I like the sounds that you can't really hear, but it makes a real difference if you listen to that and if you like something like that. So, I mean this short plug here. If you don't do this, most of the listener won't miss it. But if you have it, it sounds like really cool. Here again, we have a tempo slowdown. This view comes also again from a glide, this time in flex. Here we have a glide from E to A. A crash to fill in and also make the ears hear this next part in the song. Then this is another plugin, another sound, guitar sound. Ample Guitar M2 Lite. It's a free VST. You can download it. It's free to use with just one preset, but this is enough for this track. And if you play this alone, it also sounds great. Okay, there's the scratch effect. No. Here we go. And one tip, if you have a melody and turn down the tempo to a half of what you want or even lower, and it still sounds good, you probably have a good melody. So let's test this out. I really liked it. really slow down the track here. I really like slow style tracks, so I use slow style kind of parts also in my hands up track. This is to give the listener some time to breath, calm down. Just play this melody with some pluck sound. Fade up to the crash. Again, full power. Snare comes in. You can slightly hear it. Fade out, and now come to the outro. At this time, it's basically the intro, but played a little bit different, cut out some notes, cut out some patterns, mixed together with other patterns, but it's basically the outro, the same kick, same offbeat, same synth. I like that part. Build up for the final end. Slowly fade out all things. So this part is basically for the DJ to mix the next track easily. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this explanation of my track. Don't do it like me, but if a track comes out that you like, it's legit. Why not? For me, it's easy to do it like that because I'm a hobby producer. I don't have a label in the background. I don't need to produce tracks. I make the music that I want. I self-release my music and I don't need to work together with some other persons. Nobody opens my project. So if this project is a complete mess, only I have to deal with it. So please comment if you have questions. Should I do this kind of video in the future for my next tracks? Let me know in the comments. So without further explanation, listen to the full track.
Bye.